When your dog only listens to one person in the house, do you actually know what that means? You might think it's just favoritism, or that your dog is being stubborn with everyone else. But behind that selective obedience, there's something deeper that most dog owners completely miss. It's one of the most instinctive and revealing things your dog can do. And if you misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might unintentionally confuse your dog and weaken your bond with them. Let's start with what this behavior really means. 1. The debunk. It's not about favorites. You call your dog nothing. Someone else calls them, and suddenly, they come running like they've been trained by the military. So what do most people think? My dog just likes them more. It feels personal, almost offensive. But here's what's actually happening. Your dog isn't choosing a favorite person the way humans do. They're responding to clarity. Dogs are not wired to follow affection first. They follow consistency. The person your dog listens to most is usually the one who gives the clearest signals. Same tone, same commands, same expectations. No confusion. Think about that for a second. To your dog, the world is already complex. Human language, changing moods, unpredictable reactions. So when one person becomes predictable, that person becomes safe to follow. This isn't about love, it's about leadership. And here's where most owners get it wrong. They try to win the dog with more affection, more treats, more attention. But what the dog is actually looking for is clarity. And that changes everything. 2. The signs. Dogs follow predictable patterns. Not people. Have you ever noticed your dog responding faster to commands from one person, even if someone else says the exact same word, same command, different result? So what gives? Here's what most people don't realize. A 2020 study in canine cognition research found that dogs respond more reliably to individuals who show consistent behavioral patterns over time. Not louder voices, not stricter discipline. Consistency. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog isn't just hearing the command. They're reading the entire pattern behind it. Tone of voice, body posture, timing, follow through. If one person says, sit and always expects it and waits for it, the dog learns this word matters. But if another person says, sit, and then repeats it, and then laughs, and then gives up, the dog learns something else. This word is optional. Think about that for a second. To your dog, words don't mean anything on their own. Patterns do. And what makes this even more powerful is a 2021 behavioral study showed that dogs can detect emotional consistency in humans, meaning they trust people whose reactions are stable and predictable. So, when your dog listens to one person, they're not just hearing them. They're trusting the pattern behind them. The scent pack bond. Your dog chooses a safe leader. Now here's where it gets deeper. Have you ever wondered why your dog follows that one person around the house even when nothing is happening? Or why they relax more when that person is nearby? Here's what's actually happening. Dogs experience the world through scent and proximity to them. Being close to someone isn't random. It's bonding. Studies on domestic dogs show that they use scent recognition as a primary way to identify safety and belonging. But what matters is this. Your dog isn't just recognizing a person. They're assigning a role. Think about that for a second. In a pack, not every member leads. Some provide comfort. Some provide play. But one provides direction. The person your dog listens to most is often the one they've identified as their safe leader. Not because that person dominates them, but because that person makes the world feel predictable. And here's where it gets even more powerful. That bond is reinforced every single day through routines, feeding, walking, training. Even the way that person enters a room, all of it tells your dog, this is the one I follow. And if you're not that person right now, it doesn't mean you can't be. It just means your dog hasn't learned to read you yet. Now, before we keep going, if you're learning something new about your dog, hit like and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more people who want to build a real bond with their dog. The evolutionary route. This behavior comes from survival. Let's go deeper. Because this isn't just about your home. It goes back thousands of years. Before dogs lived with humans, they lived in structured packs. And in those packs, survival depended on clear leadership, not chaos, not mixed signals, clear direction. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog's brain is still wired to look for that structure, even in your living room, especially in your living room. Think about that for a second. When multiple people give different commands, different rules, different reactions, your dog experiences something very close to chaos. So what do? They simplify. They choose the one person who makes the most sense, the one who creates order. And here's where most owners get it wrong. They think the dog is being selective, but your dog is actually trying to survive psychologically. They're asking, who here makes the world easiest to understand? And then they follow that person. 5. The selective behavior. They don't do this with everyone. Now, ask yourself this. Does your dog behave the same way with guests? Probably not. They might ignore commands, act hyper, or just completely tune people out. But with that one person, everything changes. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog doesn't generalize behavior the way humans do. Just because they learn something with one person doesn't mean they automatically apply it to others. Think about that for a second. To your dog, each human is a separate experience, separate voice, separate energy, separate rules. So when they listen to one person, it's not just obedience. It's a relationship built on repeated, consistent interaction. And here's where it gets even more emotional. They don't offer that level of trust to just anyone. That kind of response, fast, focused, reliable, is earned, not given. Which means if your dog listens to someone else more than you, it's not rejection. It's information. Information about what your dog needs from you. 6. The ultimate revelation. Your dog is looking for someone to trust. Now let's bring it all together, because this is the part most people never realize. When your dog listens to one person, they're not just following commands, they're placing trust. Here's what's actually happening. Every time your dog responds quickly, calmly, and confidently, they're saying, I understand you. And more importantly, I feel safe with you. Think about that for a second. Obedience isn't about control. It's about communication. And communication leads to trust. And trust is everything to your dog. What makes this even more powerful is dogs are incredibly sensitive to uncertainty. If they don't understand you, if your signals are inconsistent, if your expectations change, they don't feel secure. So they hesitate, they ignore, they disconnect. Not because they don't care, but because they're unsure. And here's the truth most owners never hear. Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be clear. The warning. If your dog stops listening completely, and by the way, if your dog suddenly stops listening to the one person they used to follow closely. Don't ignore it, because it means more than most people realize. Here's what's actually happening. A sudden change in responsiveness can signal stress, anxiety, confusion, or even health issues. Dogs don't just decide to stop listening. Something changed in their world. Think about that for a second. The same dog, the same command, but a completely different response. And this is where most owners miss something important. They try to correct the behavior instead of understanding the cause. So, if your dog stops responding, don't just repeat the command louder. Pause. Observe, because your dog might be trying to tell you something you can't hear. So, let's go back to the beginning. When your dog only listens to one person, it's not favoritism. It's not stubbornness. That's not preference. That's trust. Deep, instinctive trust, built on clarity, consistency, and safety. And that behavior, it was never small to your dog, and it shouldn't be small to you either.